This is Marie Bennett at blackberriesandcream.net. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm also an avid crafter, and I make paper products for craft shows. And I've shared this on Instagram and had several people ask me if I would do a video tutorial on making this card keeping box. So that's what this is all about. This first part of the video is going to be about making the dividers that go inside the box. And I chose to make 5. Birthday, thanks, hello, congrats, and miscellaneous. So I'm going to tell you the products that I used for this box, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the inside of the box. Okay, this box is made by Doris. I got it on Amazon, and it's called, I think it's called a paper mache craft recipe box. And it's a little too small for greeting cards because a standard A2 card will not fit in here when the lid is closed. And the lid is hinged. So the first thing I did was go in with a knife and cut this hinge. And as you can see, I haven't totally finished repairing where I cut that hinge away, but I will do that before the craft show. Alright, so that's the first thing I do with this box, is cut away the hinge. And then the next thing I do is, once I've decided what I'm going to be, what paper is going to go on the outside of the box, then I find a coordinating marker, or you could use, you could just use your aqua pen and some ink and paint this lip on the inside, because since we're raising up the lid to accommodate the cards, this part of the box on the inside will show. And the way I raised the lid was I put a piece of chipboard on the inside at just the right level to raise the lid up high enough so that the cards will fit inside the box. So this part, this little piece of chipboard, rests on this edge of the box. And then when you close it, you can see there's just enough of a gap that now the A2 cards will fit in there. And so that's why you need to use your markers or your aqua pen or something to paint this. It's too snug of a fit to put washi tape there, so I wouldn't do that, but you can experiment however you want. Okay, so once I've got that done, then the box is ready to decorate. The first thing I do is decide what designer series paper am I going to use on this box. And so for the one I'm going to be demonstrating, I chose, I think it's called Birthday Blossoms. It's retired paper. And that's what craft shows are for, using your wonderful papers that you bought and didn't use before Stampin' Up! Moved on to something else. Alright, so I'm using this Birthday Blossoms, and the ink I chose was Watermelon Wonder, and the stamp set I used was the tin of cards. This stamp set is still for sale at Stampin' Up! And I'll put a link below the video. If you don't have this stamp set, it's really, really a nice set, and I have used it. I've had this now for 2 years, and I use it all the time. I use these just on making cards. Not necessarily on this tin of cards type project, but just as a little decoration along the edge of a card is really cute. Alright, I also am using 2 other retired things from Stampin' Up! And that's this file tab thinlet or framelit, I'm not sure what it is. It is retired. I have seen them on eBay. This is another one I use all the time. I have no idea why they retired it, because it is a very useful tool. Alright, so to start out with making these dividers, we're going to make them out of this backing paper that comes with every pack of DSP you buy from Stampin' Up. They have one of these dividers or backing sheets on the back to provide some support to the paper. And I never throw these away because you can use these for tons of things. So I need 5 dividers, and the first thing I'm going to do is cut the blank at 6 inches by 4 3/4 inches. That's the base. So I cut it this way, up and down, because I'm not going to be able to use this. I guess it wouldn't matter which way. It's all going to be 6 inches, right? So I'm only going to be able to get 3 pieces out of each sheet. So 6 by 4 3/4. I never throw my scraps away. Even though there's something printed on here, you will find a way to use this. But when you're doing this project, you can't, when you trim down to 4 3/4, there's not enough room here to cut the tab without having the printing showing in your final card. So I don't even try to use that. That's experience. I worked and worked and worked with that, thinking I'm so cheap, thinking there's got to be a way. Well, there isn't. 6 by 4 3/4. Okay. All right, so I have the blanks, and you can see there are only 2 tabs, but we needed to go 3 across the box. So there's one on this side, one in the middle, one on this side, then in the middle and back. So we need these blanks in 3 different positions. And the way I do that is I cut the first one by putting it at the top, right along like that, and run it through the Big Shot. And then the next one will be in the middle position, put it right along the top, and run it through the Big Shot. Try to keep it even. And then the last one, so I've got a tab here and a tab here. To get the tab over here with this die, I turn the card over and cut it on the back, line it up. Then when I use it, I flip it back to the shiny side, and the tab is over here. So I'm going to go ahead and run these through the Big Shot, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have all of the dividers cut, and the next thing I have to do is stamp. So I'm going to stamp the design along the edge of the tab before I stamp birthday or hello or whatever I stamp in there. So this time I'm using Tip Top Taupe, and I always do the tab first. I can't really see where I'm putting anything because of the way I film. My camera's kind of in the way. So I'll just guess. All right. So in this space, since this is a center one, I'm going to stamp the word thanks. As you can see, my stamps are they're stained, but you know, the staining doesn't really affect how they stamp, so I'm not worried about it, but I am thinking that as much as I enjoy doing this, I should order another set, because what will happen next is they'll discontinue these. And I'll wear these out and then I'll be mad at myself. Alright, so there you go. Not very good because I couldn't really see where I was stamping, but I'm going to go ahead and finish. I'll stamp the edge on all of the dividers and stamp the category in the tab, and then I'll show you what's next. Okay, so I have the stamping done on the dividers, and the next thing I need to do is cut the designer series paper that's going to go on this part of the divider, and it needs to be cut at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 inches, and I need 5 of those also. So I'm using more retired paper. I just love this paper, and I like it with the design going slanting upward. So it's going to be 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. And I can get 5 of these off of one sheet of paper. Alright, the next step is to take my Tombow glue or my snail adhesive and adhere this to the front of each of those dividers. Okay, that took about 5 minutes, and so as you can see, I have all of the dividers inserts for the inside of this card keeping box finished. So the next thing we're going to work on is the lid. So when I first started, I knew I wanted to put a handle on my lid, and so I went to, I got this at Home Depot. I went to Home Depot, and these little knobs came, drawer pull knobs, came in a package of 12 for $7.88. So that was a really good price. And the problem with these is the screw is too long. It's really made to go on a drawer, which has a board about that thick, and we've got a little piece of paper about that thick. So my husband used his bolt cutters, and was it his bolt cutters, or yeah, his bolt cutters, and cut the screw off shorter so that when I screwed it into the knob, I didn't have this big wobbly gap. Now, to determine where to put the screw, I cut a piece of paper the exact dimension of the inside of the lid, and then I took my ruler and I went from corner to corner, and then where the line crossed, that's the center of the box. And so I just put a little pencil mark right there, and then to adhere the knob, all I'll need to do is just poke a little hole, maybe with my paper piercer or something, some way to get the screw started to screw into the knob. And the dimensions of this piece for this box were 3 1/4 by 6 1/2. Alright, the putting on the knob is the last thing you do with the lid. So to start out with this lid, we need to cut paper, whatever paper you decide, and however you decide to decorate it. For mine, I cut my I decided to decorate it a lot like I decorate my cards, with a base layer and a second layer. For the top of the lid, I cut one piece at 3 1/8 by 6 3/8. That's this cardstock. And then the DSP I cut at 6 1/8 by 2 7/8. And so then all I need to do is adhere those two pieces together. I'm using Tombow. My Tombow's running out. That's because I'm doing a video. That's the way that works. Okay. Using what is for me the standard 1/8 inch all the way around. Okay, then I'm going to adhere this to the box top, the top of the lid. And there will be about that much of a border between the edge of the lid and the edge of the cardstock. I like to use the Tombow because then you've got a couple of seconds to get things where you want them to be. Okay, so for the sides of the lid, you will need to cut 2 of each of these pieces. So you'll need 2 pieces that are cut at 1 1/8 by 6 3/8, and that's the cardstock. And then 2 pieces that are cut at 7/8 by 6 1/8, and that's the DSP. So you'll follow the same procedure. Layer the DSP on top of the cardstock, adhere it, put it on the side like this, and do both front and back. Okay, and then for the ends, you'll follow that exact same procedure. You'll cut 2 pieces of cardstock that are 1 1/8 by 3 1/4. For the ends, you'll cut 2 pieces of the base cardstock at 1 1/8 by 3 1/4, and 2 pieces of the DSP at 7/8 by 3. And then do the same thing with them, adhere them together, and put them on the end of the lid like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and when I finish I'll be right back. Okay, I have worked the screw through the paper mache lid, and now I'm just going to put the the washer on, maybe, and screw on the little nut. And there we have it. Oh, I just love that. Alright, so for now the lid is done. I'll come back to this and do the embellishment and the decorating, but the basic lid is finished. So I'm going to put my camera down there and take a little closer picture of all of these dimensions I've given you so far, and take a break. Okay, I'm back. I've had a little rest and I'm ready to get back at finishing this box. So the next step is to put the paper on the box, sides of the box, just the way we did on the lid. So I measured the outside of the box, and I have figured out that for the base on the long sides I need to cut 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 6 3/8. So 2 3/4 by 6 3/8. And I have 2 of those. And then the DSP that goes on top of those pieces is 1/4 inch shorter in both directions, so it is 2 1/2 by 6 1/8, and I need 2 of those. And those will go on the front and the back of the box. For the ends of the box, the cardstock is 2 3/4 by 3 1/8, and I need 2 of those. And then the next layer is 2 1/2 by 2 7/8, and I need 2 of those. I have to adjust my camera. Alright, so now that I have my pieces cut, the next thing to do is adhere them together and adhere them to the box. So I'll just use my Tombow glue, put a little bead along the edges and down the middle, adhere it, leaving about a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Do that with all 4 of these pieces, and then I'll be ready to put them on the box. Okay, then I'll finish off this last side. This is the back side with the rough edge. And I've almost decided I have to live with that rough edge because everything I've tried to do to repair it has just made it worse. So I'm still thinking that one over. Alright, so the box is finished. As far as the outside layers, the last thing you need to do is embellish this box, or add the little things to it that make it a lot of fun to have sitting on your desk. And rather than have you suffer through watching me embellish this box, I thought I would just bring over some of the other boxes that I've completed, and you can see some of the things that I've done. So this is a piece of chipboard embellishment. I think it's from Bo Bunny or something, and a button from my button box. And on the inside, I punched a hole with my paper piercer, and then I threaded some twine through the hole and through the eyelet of the button, and tied a knot on the inside so that that button can't fall off. And that is how I embellished this box. And on the inside of the lid, I wanted to show you the bumper. I just made a little 1/2 inch piece of chipboard, and I adhered it to the inside of the lid using fast fuse. So I put a layer of fast fuse on the actual lid and another layer on this piece of chipboard, and then I warmed it with my heat embosser. After I stuck it on, I warmed it up a little so that the glue would make good contact. And that, when you put that little bumper there, that causes this edge of the box to rest on this edge of the bumper. Let's see if I can get it on this edge of the bumper, and then that way the lid doesn't sit down all the way on the box, and that makes room for the cards. So that's what it looks like from the front. Okay, then here's another box that I've completed, and this one I just used a key and a little keyhole from the craft store, and with kind of a stained glass looking front. I like that one. And then, I don't know what I was thinking when I did this, but because I'm not really a fancy kind of a person, but I did the same thing. I poked a hole here, and then using my crocodile, I put an eyelet on there. And with a piece of twine, I attached these little pearls from... sometimes I go to Joann's and I buy their jewelry making supplies when they're on sale. I'm not a jewelry maker, but then I can use them for things like this. And then this little fringe, I think, I don't know where I got that. I've had it for about 20 years, so I never throw anything away, and so that's what this box looks like. Alright, so that's just some ideas of what you can do to embellish your boxes, and I hope that you've gotten some good ideas from this video. When I sell these boxes at the craft show here in Wyoming, I sell them for $25, and they get their choice of 6 cards to put in the box, so it makes a nice inexpensive gift around Christmas time. Okay, so thanks for watching, and happy stamping. There you go. That's all the dimensions for this project.